Is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure a top 5 anime? Top 10 anime? Well, today we're going to find out because we are doing our second installment of the anime review. Today we have JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Edition. If you don't know, a really quick rundown, I basically rate every anime I've seen. I rate different categories throughout the anime, like plot, characters, things like that, out of 10. We average up the score, and then at the end we're going to have a big list of all the top anime. I will say my favorites do not win everything. I wish they did, but this basically is to see which anime is the most complete. But let's head into JoJo's right now. So to start off with, we have the plot of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Now the plot is weird because the plot kind of changes a lot, right? Like if you look at part 1 versus even part 5, which don't even get me started. Well, we actually, Steel Ball Run hadn't been animated yet, so you know it can't really be included. But if we go from like the plot of part 1 to part 5, like that's completely different shows, right? But for the plot, I think every single individual plot is very, very good, but there is no real main story. So for plot of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, because we could go through all of them, but the parts, like I said, all have their own unique and extensive plots, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, just because there is no main story to JoJo's. However, each arc has their own plot, which are fantastic. I have to go 9 out of 10. Next, we move on to characters. Now, JoJo's is known for its characters, both in design and in moments, and in aura. Honestly, Jotaro probably got all of them, design, aura, and moments, right? I mean, JoJo's is known for some of its great characters over the years. So I think it's pretty obvious where we're going with this one. We're going to give the characters of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure a 10 out of 10. Again, some of the best of all time. Next, we have main character. Now, there is a different main character in every part of JoJo's. Part 1, you have Jonathan Joestar. Part 2, you have Joseph Joestar. Part 3, you have Jotaro Kujo. Part 4, you have Josuke Higashikata. Part 5, you have Giorno Giovanna. Part 6, you have Jolene Kujo. And Part 7, which is about to be animated, you have Gyro Zeppeli. Now, some people are going to try to tell you it's Johnny just because his name is Joestar, but the manga, it says Gyro, so I'm going with Gyro. But yeah, a lot of solid main characters. Obviously, we won't count Gyro, though. Gyro's the best out of all of them, by the way. But, you know, we're not going to count that. Anyway, for main character, I'm pretty clearly going to give it a 10 out of 10. I mean, you have multiple main characters, so even if there's one you don't like, you know, you'd still be good because there's so many others. And honestly, I think they're all great. But, like, Jonathan is probably the worst for me. And it's not because there's anything wrong with Jonathan. I think he's a true Joestar. And I compare every Joestar to him because they should try to be like him. It's just there's only, like, 6 episodes about Jonathan. So it's not like, you know, you can really... The other ones just have way more extensive, like, depth to them, right? But, yeah, 10 out of 10 for the main character. Next, we have antagonists here. Again, they're known for their characters, but they're also known for their antagonists. Obviously, some of the most iconic antagonists of all time. Pretty easily going to be 10 out of 10. You have characters like Dio. Cars isn't really iconic, but Cars is a great antagonist. Kira, iconic. Diabolo, iconic. Poochie, he will be. You know, he's still relatively new, but Poochie's the GOAT. Funny Valentine will be iconic instantly. And yeah, the antagonists are amazing. 10 out of 10. Next, we have depth. There is a lot of depth in JoJo's, but there are some parts that do lack in depth. Like we talked about part 1. Part 1's pretty much a setup into part 2. And into part 3 as well, but with part 1, it's like there's just not much there, right? There's really not. I mean, you get some depth in Dio, but in a little bit in Jonathan, but really not too much other than that. So, you know, yeah, there's also other parts like part 4. People love part 4. It's my least favorite part, which people, you know, hate me for that for some reason, but it's my least favorite part just because the whole first half of part 4 has like no depth. It's almost exclusively about Koichi, and then when it's not, it's about some bullshit like Invisible Wet Baby, or like the guy who's stuck in a light pole, or like stupid rats with guns that almost kill Jotaro or whatever. Like, yeah, there's some parts don't have a lot of depth like part 4 and part 1, so for me, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 on depth. I think the other parts do fantastic. Part 2 has a lot, part 3 has a lot, part 5 has probably the most, and part 6 has a lot as well. So I'm going to go 9 out of 10 just because parts 1 and 4 kind of hold it back a little bit. Next, we have plot twist. Obviously, there are a lot of good plot twists in JoJo's, but I'm going to keep this one simple. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 because there are just ones that are better. Like, there are plot twists from other shows that are better, right? Like, you look at some of the iconic ones. Well, we've only done one other anime, so I'm not going to spoil any other ones. But like Naruto definitely has more iconic and better plot twists than JoJo's. JoJo still has great plot twists. You know, people think when I say something's better than JoJo's. That's something they think I'm saying JoJo's is awful. Obviously, it's not. I'm sorry. I sound like I complain about JoJo fans a lot, but they always have something to say on my videos, so I do apologize. But yeah, it gets a little annoying sometimes, so I've always got a preface. I'm not hating on it. But yeah, plot twist 9 out of 10. I think they're very, very good, but there just are better. Next, we have world building. I think it's pretty good, but I do think it could be slightly better. So for me, I'm going to go 9 out of 10. Now, if you want my reasoning on it for world building, I'm kind of thinking like it's kind of the real world. Now, they do go extensive on some parts. Like, pretty much all of Morio, right? Stardust Crusaders, a lot. But then you go like to part 1 and 2. Like, yeah, you know where it's located, but you don't really know much about the area and stuff like that. You don't know how the rest of the world is really affected in terms of this show, everything like that. So that's why I say 9 out of 10, because it is pretty good in who they're following. So I guess you could say 10 out of 10. But I like the whole world to be explained for it to really be a 10 out of 10. But moving on, we have fights. This one's going to be the easiest 10 out of 10 ever. There's no show that has fights like JoJo's, mainly because of the power system. But still, there's no fights like JoJo's. They're fantastic. They're beautiful. They look amazing. Everything like that. Don't need to spend a lot of time on this. 10 out of 10. Next, we have emotion, which this is probably one of the weaker parts of JoJo's, in my opinion. And I gave it an 8 out of 10. Now, the reason why I gave it 8 out of 10 on emotion is because it just... I like the show a lot. It's my second favorite show ever. It just doesn't quite move me as like a lot of other anime have, because if you go through each season, part 1, there's nothing really too emotional. Part 2, a lot of people say Caesar's death. It was like a sad moment, but was it super emotional for me? No, not really, to be honest. Part 3 sucked when Iggy died. Yeah, sucked. All right, well, I just realized I'm spoiling. So, I'm going to stop spoiling, but I'm going to just say the parts. I apologize for that when I caught myself. Those are really old anyways. Hopefully you've seen those ones. But yeah, part 3 as well. They have some deaths in there that are kind of sad, but not super emotional. And then you got part 4, which isn't really emotional at all. Like, there's nothing really emotional in part 4. Then you have part 5, which that one actually is probably the most emotional. Part 5 hit pretty hard. So did part 6. But yeah, the first 4 parts, they don't really hit that hard, so that's why I give it an 8 out of 10. Because there is emotion there, and it is decent, but it's nothing like, I'm not, jumping for joy or bawling my eyes out, right? It's not like anything insane. So 8 out of 10 for emotion. Next, we have pacing. Honestly, I'm going to tell you the score again right away. I gave pacing a 9 out of 10, and it should be a 10, but one of the parts absolutely ruins the pacing, and people again are going to get mad at me for this. It is definitely part 4. Part 4 is not paced very well. Everything else is paced perfectly except for part 4, so maybe I should still have it as a 10 out of 10, but I gave it a 9 out of 10 because of part 4. The story doesn't actually start till Kira shows up, which isn't until episode like 17, by the way. You've got like 16 episodes where the story really doesn't matter. And to me, that's bad pacing because the story is not picking up. Now, I know there's no filler episodes in JoJo's, but part 4 has a lot of canon filler. Like, Invisible Baby was literally pointless to the story. I know a lot of people like Invisible Baby, but it was pointless. It literally had served zero purpose to the story and was a waste of 2 episodes. So that's why I say the pacing sucks in part 4. Because you got like 16 episodes where nothing happens to progress the story at all. So, and the part of the story that gets progressed in that part is like Koichi evolving his stand, and the whole first half's about Koichi, and Koichi doesn't do shit in the final fight. So to me, I don't know. The first part, it was kind of dragged out and pointless. Like, Kira should have showed up way earlier, in my opinion. But moving on, we have enjoyment. 10 out of 10, obviously. I said it's my number 2 show of all time. So pretty obviously, it's going to be a 10 out of 10. We'll move on quickly. Peaks, again, this one's going to be really easy. 10 out of 10. If it's my second favorite show of all time, the best moments from the show have to be good. So obviously, 10 out of 10. Next, we have animation. Oh, animation is tough, right? Now, animation, I base it off so many different things. If you watch the Naruto one, I gave Naruto a 10 out of 10 animation. And the reason why I gave Naruto a 10 out of 10 animation was because it was, I don't want to say generational, but it was like ahead of its time. Like, there's, even to this day, like, the choreography in Naruto is still fantastic. To me, JoJo's, yes, it looks good, but there's nothing special about it, if that makes sense. I gave animation a 9 out of 10. Like other shows, either they just look at the top of their class. Like, JoJo's has never looked at the top of its class, even when it came out. And I think it looks good, don't get me wrong, but it's never been the best looking like animation wise, and it doesn't do anything super unique animation wise. So I gave it a 9 out of 10 because there's definitely better out there. Next we have music. I mean, this one's obvious. Do I even need to say? I literally use a JoJo's OST as some of my background music, mainly because it doesn't get copyrighted, but still, music's a 10 out of 10. Obviously, there are a couple songs that aren't great, but the rest of it's so good that it doesn't even matter. So 10 out of 10. And we have ending. Now this one is kind of, I'm not going to spoil why. So there's not going to be any spoilers here. You will see, actually, you know if you finished what's been animated so far. So it's not a spoiler actually on anything on the manga. I gave it a 5 out of 10. Now typically what you will see if an anime is not finished, I always give it a 0 out of 10. The reason I give JoJo's a 5 out of 10, and I'm sure this will be similar when this happens with Chainsaw Man, the first part is finished. Part 1, now I know they're called parts, the first half of JoJo's is finished. That's what I labeled it as, because obviously you can't call part 1 when you have part 1. You get what I'm saying. The first half of JoJo's is finished, so that's why I gave it a 5 out of 10, because, you know, the first half of JoJo's, I'd give it 10 out of 10, but there is still more. And I know what you're thinking. It makes sense if you've seen Stone Ocean. I don't want to spoil, but if you've seen Stone Ocean, this ranking, or this, score absolutely makes sense, and you understand what I'm talking about. So 5 out of 10. Then we move on to overall. We combined all the scores from all 15 of these categories. We got a solid 9.1 out of 10. It is very peak. JoJo's is fire. If you're wondering where that places it, right under Naruto at number 2 so far. My list here is a little different because I did these in a different order when I first did them. But since we're going in this order, JoJo's is a 9.1. It is currently right behind Naruto, which is sitting at a 9.2. I mean, they're my top 2 anime, so it makes sense they're going to be that high. But trust me, they don't stay at the top the whole time. I wish they did because they are my favorites, but, you know, it doesn't shake out that way. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and, yeah, let me know what you guys want to see next. Sunday, I have something planned already, and then obviously we'll have our tier list and then our other thing. And then the Sunday after, one of you guys actually left a suggestion. So if you made it this far into the video, and I will try to remember to pop up the comment here, you recommended me a great video to do. So that's going to be not this Sunday, but next Sunday, because that one's going to take a little while to make. So yeah, hope to see you guys there. Peace.